All right. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I was just informed by Councilmember Carlucci that it's 3 to start, so we are now in session for our August 19th meeting, 1 p.m. Finance Committee meeting. I'll start with introductions to my left, please.
Brittany Norris for the administration.
Colleen Hampsey, Council Research.
Mary Stefopoulos, Office of General Counsel.
Philip Peterson, Council Auditor's Office.
Kim Taylor, Council Auditor.
Ron Salem, Group 2 at Large.
Nick Howland, at Large, Group 3.
Raul Arias, District 11.
Joe Carlucci, District 5.
Will Lane, District 3.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you everybody out here for joining us as well. I do have one public comment card, which we will take action up. So I would like to first start out today's meeting with, we have 3 presentations, and I have the team from Carr, Riggs, and Ingram Communications for the audit results on the 23-24. Are they up today? Yes. Hello, guys. All right. You have 3 minutes to present. Unless you need 4 minutes, I'll give you an extra minute. Whatever you need. All right. Please state your name and address. Thank you.
Thank you. April Shuping, partner with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. You need my address?
Of the building of where your building resides, that's fine.
Okay, it's in Gainesville, Florida.
Okay, go ahead.
We have a Fullerton Street, Jacksonville, Florida.
There you go. All right.
Sorry, that's
you.
new. Thank you for having us. We are really pleased to be here today to present the results of the City of Jacksonville's fiscal year 2024 audit. It's a financial statement audit and also a single audit over your federal and state grants that we complete annually. You should each have a document that was provided electronically, and we have hard copies as well. It's an excerpt of a much larger document that has all the financial statements in it as well. But we want to highlight a couple of things in the document. On page 228, which isn't as far as you might think it is because it's excerpted, we have the 2 findings that we reported for the 2024 audit. The first one is finding 2024-001, and it is related to the financial statement audit and basically covers the fact that there were material adjustments that had to be made during the audit, partially due to some continuing issues from the OneCloud financial package implementation a few years ago, and partially due to things related to bank reconciliations and the cutoff of the fiscal year end close. Lots of details in that note that I'm happy to address, but that is the highlight of that finding. The second finding related to the single audit we performed, and it is related to your community development block grant. There were some compliance requirements that the controls over them were not consistently being performed. And there was one area where we did find non-compliance, and that was with making sure that the wage rate requirement, technical federal requirement when you're dealing with certain federal grants, was not consistently being met. For both of these findings, we've worked with the city's management, the grant department's management, to help get those mitigated and corrected. Overall, it was a clean audit. You have an unmodified opinion. It was issued within the statutory deadlines. And there were fewer findings this year than in the last 2 years. So we have seen continued improvement as that financial system implementation has progressed. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. And I do have 2 members on the queue. First up will be Councilmember Ron Salem.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, the OneCloud conversion is the story that never ends, it seems like. And going back to COVID, it was, COVID caused it, and we are now 4 or 5 years out, and I keep hearing there are issues with the OneCloud conversion. Are we now to the point to where that's ending? Or do you anticipate us continuing for you to make changes, modifications, all that language you used because of the OneCloud conversion?
So from an auditor's perspective, we have seen that the OneCloud conversion issues have begun to minimize. We see that as being less impactful on the adjustments we are making. And what we are working with management on is making sure that now that that has settled down more, now that those implementation issues and reporting issues have been being slowly resolved over the years. And now that's why the finding was modified this year to really focus on those cutoff issues and the bank reconciliation issues. And that now that those kind of technical issues with the new system have been resolving themselves or being resolved. Now what we are asking is for a little more attention on the year-end cutoffs, pulling back your payables, pulling back your receivables, some of the bank reconciliations, just getting a little tighter. So while I cannot speak for management, from an auditor's perspective, we have seen improvement in that and feels like it has gotten to a tipping point where now some more focus can be on the basics of closing your year out properly.
Thank you, Chair. Glad to hear that. Hopefully, we won't hear that comment next year.
Welcome. All right, Mr. Leanan, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, ma'am, at the end, you kind of answered my question. You said fewer findings than last year. I was just going to ask, do you recall how many findings we had?
I believe there were 3 last year, and you're at 2 now.
Okay, thank you. So, to the committee, overall good news, 2 findings, no deficiencies, and unmodified opinion. So thanks for the work y'all do.
Thank you so much. I see no other speakers on the queue. Thank you so much for the presentation and your time today.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate the opportunity to work with the city.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to the second presentation, which will be the annual presentation from JHA. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. First, I wanted to say, Chair, and then also Council, thank you for having me today. And then also, thank you for supporting me, JHA's Chairwoman Horovich, too, on today. Just a few updates. I'm Sharon Corbett-Waller. I am the CEO of the 3rd largest public housing authority in the state of Florida, which is Jacksonville Housing Authority. At JHA, we're dedicated to the expansion and preservation of affordable housing for the clients in which we serve, which fall into the low-income to very low-income household category. I'm here today to give you several updates. I did onboard the Jacksonville Housing Authority on April 14th of 2025, and we've made some amazing, some amazing updates in regards to the great things that we're doing within the community. So just as an update, recently, you all provided funding through the Emergency Financial Assistance Program, in which you approved $1 million for Jacksonville Housing Authority to build 5 single-family homes within the Durkeeville community. We have to have that actually completed by September 30th of 2025. So I'm happy to disclose to you all on today is that the homes are looking totally phenomenal. As a matter of fact, the homes will be ready for a groundbreaking ceremony to invite you all out midweek of September of 2025. The roofs are on. The homes are actively, the exterior is being painted right now. We're working on the interior too as well. I've also set up a tour for each council representative. If you're open to this, I'll have my team reach out to your assistants directly. We're going to have a tour of that Durkeeville community so you can see those 5 single-family homes on Friday, August 29th, from 9 o'clock to noon to be exact. And we're going to have the trolley that's going to pick you up right here in front of City Hall. So I'll have our administrative assistant team to reach out to your admins just to kind of give an update if you would like to join us on that tour. During that tour, we're going to also look at various vacant lots that are within the Durkeeville community. At JHA, we currently own about 30 of those lots. So what we're hoping for the future is to be able to have those lots as a home ownership component. I've heard feedback from many of the council representatives as I make my rounds to meet with you all too as well. But I think home ownership is key and critical in regards to the clients that we serve. It's important, yes, we do have those that are renting, but we also need to consider opportunities for upper economic mobility too as well. I would like to also announce to you all within the East Side community, we've recently put out an RFQ on the street for Franklin Arms. Franklin Arms is located at 888 Franklin Avenue. That RFQ, in which JHA is seeking a co-developer, will actually close out by the end of Friday. So if there are any developers, owners that are looking to be in partnership with JHA and can complete the tax credits, which will be due in October 2025, I highly encourage them to register as a vendor first at www.jaxha.org. And then in addition to that, this is going to be listed on Marketplace. I have 26 seconds left. I'm going to hurry up. We're going to also be putting...
You're saying great things, so we could talk more if you want.
Okay, are you sure?
Okay.
I promise, but I'll be quick, right? So for VASH, for our veterans in which we serve, is so key and critical. We have many veterans here in Jacksonville, of course, right? So we've been advocating and reaching out to our VA. We now have a satellite location. We believe in having a one-stop shop, in JHA, and then also the VA representatives. We can better serve serve our veterans. So we're going to be putting out RFP on this Friday for VASH to convert it over to PVV. So that's going to be an opportunity also for local developers and or developers from other locations who understand our veteran population and can provide supportive services to as well to actually submit for that. So that's going to come out on Marketplace. And again, they need to register on our website at www.jaxha.org
Before
for
you
veterans.
proceed with the next one, first of all, let's just, don't worry about the time for her. We just discontinue that. Can you go over DASH and educate not only us, but also the public as to what this program is exactly?
Yes.
I know it has to do with veterans, but what else does it do?
Yes. So the great thing about our VASH programs, Veteran Assistance Supportive Housing Program, is that these are vouchers that are provided directly from VA in partnership with HUD, right? And so in order for us to get the VASH vouchers, individuals that are veterans go through the VA and they're referred over to our agency. From there, we work to house them. But what we're finding is that when we get those referrals that come in, our veterans are going out into the current market. They're competing with others that are seeking affordable housing opportunities, and those are seeking market rate opportunities, and they're not necessarily finding housing as quick enough. But a great solution that I've done in other housing authorities throughout the U.S. too as well is that when you put a solicitation out on the street for our veterans and you have a one-stop shop in regards to the landlord or owner that's saying, we want veterans, we understand this target population, we have the proper resources and services in place for them, we tend to see that our veterans are housed at a quicker pace than versus going out, spending 90 to 120 days out on the market. So this is just a great opportunity that's been done in different places, and I think it'll be most definitely advantageous for the Jacksonville Housing Authority to be able to do this. The VA has not yet done this, ironically, within Jacksonville too as well, or in some cases, other cities within Florida. So I'm proud to say that they're most definitely welcome this opportunity. And as soon as we're able to move more of these VASH participants through this RFP process, it's now an opportunity for us to now advocate to say, VA, can you give us anywhere from 75 to 100 new vouchers? And so that's going to be a year out in which we can put that request in. But we've already planted those seeds. We've talked to HUD here local. We've already had a conversation with the regional HUD and the VA team for the state of Florida too as well. And then also, I think it's important, I had mentioned previously that we do have some lots within the Durkeeville community. You're going to probably see us again come out to really advocate because we would love to turn those lots into opportunities for home ownership for the clients in which we serve. And I think a few more things just to add in there. Our occupancy rate. For our public housing program, I know there's been so many discussions about our wait list, right? But right now, we're at about 98% occupancy. And so this is really just telling us more and more that we need more affordable housing in various districts throughout the city of Jacksonville. And so I'm really just advocating today more than anything for your support. We can do the job. It's a new day at Jacksonville Housing Authority. We're working to be EPIC. And EPIC stands for efficiency, productivity, innovation, and collaboration. And so I just wanted to present that to you on today. Any questions for me?
Thank you. We do have a couple members on the queue. Thank you for that presentation.
Absolutely.
Mr. Ron Salem, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, can you tell me how many affordable housing units your entity controls in Duval County today?
Yeah, so right now we have approximately 14 developments in which we control.
And how many units is that?
And so that's a total of, right now, we have ACC units, 2,329 ACC units. And out of those particular units, we have 2,281 of those units that's actually leased.
So 2,081, and what was the total?
So we have 2,281 that are leased.
Okay.
And then we have 2,329 that are allocated to Jacksonville Housing Authority. So that delta there, right, that's an example of, so for example, we may have units that unfortunately have experienced some type of burn in which they're actively being substantially rehabbed. We have some units that HUD classifies being offline, and through HUD's mass occupancy system, it lists us at about 98.6% for overall occupancy.
And how many units do you plan to add over the next 12 months?
Yeah. So right now we're working on a huge strategic plan, strategy too as well. And we do understand that within DC, a lot of our federal funds are being cut. as it relates to many of the housing authorities out of the 33 public housing authorities. So we're hoping at best, and I know this is pretty aggressive given the funds that we have, it would be nice if we can get anywhere from 75 to 80 new units. And right now, if you think about this as a 12-month period, so we're going to have these new 5 homes that will be added in. We have 30 new vouchers that's going to be in place for VASH. We're hoping to get some additional vouchers too as well. And we're working around the clock with HUD to see if there's any additional flexibility as it relates to project-based vouchers. And then we also have those 30 lots too as well. So that's pretty aggressive. I probably should say 50, but I want to say between 75 to 100 to be exact.
Last question, Chair, if I can. You mentioned we get requests from various people for money for affordable housing. Administration, and you just said, I thought I heard you say that if you gave me X dollars, that would help me add more units. Did I hear you say that correctly?
Not per se in that order, Councilman Salem. I think what's important is that when we plan for the future, right, we do understand that in order for the housing authority to be able to advocate more as it relates to HUD for the release of potential vouchers, it's important that we can show from a municipal standpoint that we have the support here too as well. So I'm hopeful in the future, if there are opportunities, that JHA will be most definitely considered at the forefront, because what I'm demonstrating today is that we're doing the job, most definitely. I came here April 14th of 2025, and we're already pushing forward on so many great initiatives to better expand and preserve affordable housing for those families here in Jacksonville that are in need.
I sure appreciate your enthusiasm.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mr. Joe Carlucci.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Ms., what was your first name?
Sharon.
Sharon. Do you have any update, or can you talk to, I guess, just the committee a little bit about the community land trust and the partnership? And were y'all looking over there at the Lincoln Court project?
So thank you, too. So what we're doing right now is we're actively going to be, I should say, engaging them more so, too, as well. We recognize that there were some critical issues that we had to address, first within our veterans, too, and then looking at those 5 single-family homes that has that deadline of September 30th, too. And so that's actually in the pipeline for planning, too. Actually, we're going to have a meeting later on this month.
Lincoln Court is in phase for planning, you said?
So we're going to be exploring. We're going to be exploring that partnership more, so that we can streamline it a little bit more in regards to what we can do with the community land trust more so.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And sorry, but have y'all looked specifically at this site? Lincoln Court over there near 8th Street?
No. So
No?
no.
Okay. Okay.
And if this is a solicitation that we need to go out, we can look at it. But later on this month, we're going to be having a discussion with the community land trust. So maybe if we would have had it before, we would have been able to cover it. So,
okay, cool. I'll put that kind of bug in their ear, so to speak. But it's a big opportunity for you guys, and would be a really incredible project. So, all right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. No other speakers in the queue. I do have just one question.
Sure.
I mean, they already asked the questions that I needed, but you mentioned earlier that there are lots of occupancy. Well, you have a 98.6 occupancy rate right now, which is awesome. Obviously, there's a wait list, but you're going to be able to determine what other parts of our community, specifically by different districts, are needed. So my question to you is, how are you getting this information? Like, how do you know which districts need affordable housing? Is there a database you're collecting it from, or is there just internal reporting? What do you have for that?
So multiple factors. So when I came to one of the council meetings before, and I think that was in April, May, one of the key goals is to be able to meet with every council representative, be able to walk those communities too as well to understand your needs. That's part one, right? Because I think it's important when we talk about partnerships. But the second part is really looking at the census tracts, right? So what's interesting is that we want to make sure that we're not oversaturating communities, right, that fall into a low to very low income category. However, we do recognize if we have certain assets that currently exist in those communities that we need to address those assets so we don't have a situation of blight and so forth, and that we reinvest back in those communities. But looking at census tract data, I think it's really important. We have many of our financial institutions. They do Community Reinvestment Act. They have a lot of the detailed census data. We work the HUD too as well. But we do believe that there's an opportunity for what I consider as opportunity areas, in which certain districts doesn't necessarily have low to low income households. Maybe there's a need for seniors, the new seniors, ages 55 on up, for potential development opportunities too. We're also scrubbing our waitlist data to see what those critical needs are to house the clients in which we serve. And so maybe there's a need for those with disabilities and or a need for family housing too as well. So part one, to answer your question, is meeting with every representative and council for their districts. And then two is still looking at the factual data as it relates to census based upon income.
Yeah, so that exactly is what I wanted to hear. It's needless to say, you feel pretty confident and comfortable with the data you're getting based off of the efforts, like I said, speaking with the council members, but also the census data, the wait list data that you have. That tells you specifically where it's needed and in what part of town, right? So do you feel comfortable to say that this is exactly what you need, or do you feel that you need another tool to be able to gather that data, or is this as good as it gets right here?
You know what? Just having a city and regional planning background by trade, it's always important to have data that speak with one another too as well. We do understand that census tract data has a lag time of 10 years to be exact, right? And so sometimes you're just dealing with outdated data, but the reality of it is it would be nice to have an all-encompassing system that basically have newer updated trends too as well. Maybe something that's doing projections anywhere, instead of the 10 years, a range between 1 to 3 years out, so that we can accurately, project what's needed within these various communities too.
Okay, perfect. And the wait list data that you have, how many people do you have on the wait list currently right now?
Yeah, and so there's some updates I do have on that. So within our wait list, we had for our traditional public housing, about 24,000 individuals that was listed in traditional public housing. But I think it's important to also recognize this. Wait list data is telling me multiple things. One, there's a critical need in Jacksonville for affordable housing opportunities. We also recognize on a waitlist data is that sometimes you have redundancy. Individuals will apply for similar waitlists over and over again too as well. But I think most importantly, it's like, what can we do as it relates to partnerships to push forward on this waitlist information? But what's interesting enough is that when you start selecting individuals from the waitlist, right, you have to look at the data as it relates to HUD's requirements to make sure that they even meet those obligations. And so right now we've created, even through our Housing Choice Voucher Program, we have a new customer service line, email, which is hcvcustomerservice@jaxha.org. That's a long email. I also have a phone number that I can share too as well, because outside of traditional public housing, which is pretty much it, those are our fixed assets, the HCV program is equally important. And what we're doing right now is just getting an understanding of the call volumes. We're finding that we're getting in about 5,000 calls per week. So that's about 1,000 calls Monday through Friday. We're also working relentlessly around the clock as it relates to our landlords and our owners too as well, to quickly get people housed. And then we're going to also be working on a developer symposium, right? Because I think it's important that there are owners that are out here that actually have units that are readily available, that are sustainable, that are affordable, and that they better serve our clients. So it's really getting the word out in regards to what we have.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. Sure. No other speakers on the queue. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Moving on to presentation number 3, Ms. Taylor. Oh, and I would also like to recognize Councilmember Diamond is in the house. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the committee, you have a few pages that I've pulled out of our quarterly summary report, which is usually very lengthy, to just go through briefly. We'll start with the general fund, since I know that's always the big thing that matters. You'll see on the second page of the handout an overall projected variance, and this is as of June 30th. The administration projects to be a positive $67.5 million overall. As we mentioned during the budget hearings, the main contributing factor to that is your general fund loan repayment related to the solid waste fee. So in essence, and I have the page included too for the solid waste fund, in essence about $36 million of the solid waste fee, which goes back to January 1 of 2025, so it'll be accrued into this year, we'll be able to relieve that transfer out to the solid waste fund. You do have a negative that's in the revenues that offsets that $39 million, so that's why I'm saying the $36 million to really look at the full picture there. I'll mention just a couple of items that are still projected, kind of the same as last quarter. The big one, the state shared revenue, that's that distribution that's a 1/12 distribution. So we knew the number in July for the 24-25 year, but the state pulled back. When they're taking a look at collections, they pull back. We're hoping for an August true up to see those numbers potentially go up, but we really won't know yet if that will stay. But you'll still have an overall 3.5 million projected variance. But I do want to mention one item that is changing as well on ad valorem taxes on the VAB number. And this is where I always caution. I know when there's initiatives right after the budget and folks want to pull dollars, even when there are surpluses, this will come down to actually a negative 600,000 after VAB because there's going to be a 5.4 million negative impact to those numbers. So it's the final VAB certified numbers that really matter. So when appropriation requests come through and we want to try to snag those, I always caution for that reason because we don't know where the VAB's going to end up landing. So that'll actually reduce your overall variance by about 5.4 million, bringing that down to about 62 million overall. So that will have an impact once. It's just not reflected in the projections here. But when you see your year-end numbers, you'll see that number go down. The various items we've talked about during the hearings on utility service tax, communication service tax, and franchise fee, we're seeing uptick. I believe I've covered the main expenditures. If you want to turn to page, it's the third page, it's marked as page 27. This is by department. And so I'll just mention that for overall for JSO, they have 6 departments here. Overall, they're projecting 11 million positive. About half of that is due to personnel, so vacancies that they have a lapse as well that they have to meet. You'll see also the JAX citywide activities. This is looking at it from a different angle, so it's that same loan repayment going down to the solid waste fund, and then also the debt service savings, which I didn't mention on the first page, but you'll see there's a bill before you that's been deferred related to group health as well. But that's those numbers. As far as the negative projections, and of course these are still projections, you have the Office of the Mayor projected 142,000. That's mainly due to the unfunding of the one position where they don't have those dollars there. Fire rescues projecting 1.1 negative. That's mainly due to overtime costs that are putting them over. Human Rights Commission 10,000 negative, and then state attorney, there's a billing error that's going to be corrected with the IT cost, so 262,000. So those are your departments kind of overall general fund. If you want to turn, there's a solid waste fund. It's the second to last page that I've included in here, but it's kind of a repeat of the main things going on with the fee. I will mention there's a bill that's going to be filed that went through MBRC that will draw down another 1.5 million in that fund, so it'll bring it down to 1.9 million overall, utilizing for operation of the landfill based on increased tonnage, so it increased the cost there. Your last page is your group health bill. I'll just mention overall the $4.8 million favorable variance. This one gets a little convoluted, but at 9/30/24, there was an ending balance, cash balance of about 11 million. You'll see the transfer from fund balance in the budget. You plan to utilize about 15.8 million of that. So really, when the budget was put through, there were more costs that came through, so that fund balance really wasn't there fully. So in essence, that favorable balance, think of it as we're only going to use 11 million of fund balance. That's a good thing that you have the favorable variance there. But in essence, it's going to bring your cash down to 0. So you had 11 million at 9/30/24. You, in essence, are utilizing fund balance of 11 million only based on the positive variance, getting you to a 0 point end of the year. What they do, they've done it for the 2024 calendar year. The Office of Insurance Regulation just says you either have to have balances here or you have to write a letter saying you've got sufficient operating reserves to cover it. And that's what they did for the calendar year 2024, and I imagine they will need to do it for 2025. When we get to the bill, I know it's deferred, I believe, today. We can have more discussion on what that amount should be. I do want to say there's nothing wrong. I don't want to criticize the budget office for doing the bill. It's responsible in that sense, but it's not necessary. Some of it we'll need to go over to make sure we don't go in negative cash. But the full amount may not be necessary because you can utilize your operating reserves to cover that in the end. So the only other thing I'll mention on the independent authorities, you have a bill of JEA, $150 million budget amendment that has been filed based on excess revenues that will be coming through. JAA will be filing a bill either, Mary and I have been working with them to try to get it for Wednesday. If it's not, it's going to be the next cycle on the garage, the parking garage. They cannot really move forward on the reconstruction until those dollars are appropriated. So that will need to come through. JTA will need an overall budgetary amendment by the end of the year, slightly going over, and then JPA, new issues, projecting surplus.
Okay, thank you. I do have Councilmember Leanan on the queue. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Only 2 questions this quarter. First, through the Chair to Ms. Taylor. With the favorable amount of 67, I know some of that's going to come out for a whole number of things, but do we have a projected 9/30/2025 general fund balance, or do we need to get a little further on with the audit at this point?
Through the chair, I would hate to do that based on what we saw in last year's, and that's the only comment I would have related to the year-end audit. There are so many material audit adjustments that occurred and have occurred. Your year-end quarterly summary becomes it's helpful, but it's certainly not a key because there's so many post-closing entries to the report that you see that happen. So I would hate to give that at this point, just based on what could change in this quarter.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, Ms. Taylor. And through the chair, Ms. Taylor, my only other question, I was going to ask this one on group health, but just to make sure I understand what you said, my question was going to be, we have a projected favorable balance or variance of $5 million. Does that impact what we budgeted for as far as what I believe the $22 million transfer was? In other words, do we have $5 million that'll go to the special counsel contingency now because of this $5 million favorable from this year's budget?
Through the chair to Councilmember Leanan, no, because you were planning to utilize $15.8 million of fund balance. It wasn't even there to really utilize, so that $4.8 million variance helps you to get to a level of, you utilized in essence 11 million of fund balance, and that's what the balance was. You'll be at a zero cash, in other words, 9/30/25. So there's an issue with pulling the 15.8 really wasn't available.
So through the chair to Ms. Taylor, thank you. So in other words, instead of being -4 in the hole, like I think we've referenced a couple times, we're essentially going to be at 0 at year end.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. Councilmember Salem.
Thank you, Chair. Just to touch on group health, I hope to get with the auditors and we'll come back with a recommendation at our next finance meeting on how much to put in the reserve account and how much we can drop into the reserves and increase our reserves. Through the chair to Ms. Taylor, the $63 million you're quoting there, I know we have used some of these dollars along the year as we've identified that we had a plus. Is that $63 million specifically what's there now, accounting for what has been spent in past quarters?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, yes, that is a free and clear. In other words, your bills, any bills have already been taken into account when we're looking at these items.
Chair, you have been very adamant about not wanting mid-year grabs of money as we go through, and I could not agree with you more, and I think this committee does. So as we get these, as we get these balances, I think it's important that we don't spend it and go out and grab it and let it fall into the reserves as it used to occur routinely in past years. So I couldn't agree with you more. And Ms. Taylor, on these departments that have negative balances right now and potentially have them by the end of the year, are there any repercussions to that? Does that just occur and there's no effort to reduce expenses, whether it's the mayor's office or anybody else?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, that is a great question that we have talked about internally. The fund as a whole must balance. So that's the main thing first, is that the fund as a whole, that you don't exceed appropriation authority and that you had the revenue for what you spent so that you don't go negative there. Overall, May they come back at some point, since, for example, fire is the one that's over kind of the mayor's threshold. For the other ones, they're under the $500,000, and dollars could be TD'd around if they want to settle those. For the other item, it may necessitate coming back, but the fund as a whole balances, so that's where overall we haven't really seen this where we need to address it. And I'll get you a better answer. We had vetted it internally. There may need to be legislation for that one to settle that.
I would sure be interested in working with you on that. Do you know why they're not transferring funds in order to balance these accounts by the end of the year? Is there a reason they're not doing that, and has that occurred in the past, Ms. Taylor?
Through the chair, I'd have to Councilmember Samuel, I have to look back at the year end for 9/30/24 to see if that had occurred, and I'll let you know.
Okay. I would be interested in working with you on a long-term solution to this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I would like to recognize Ms. Pittman. She is here. Fixing cards. And Ms. Clark Murray, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Hello to everyone. I am here for 2025-538.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And I just have a couple things to talk about on, not related to the presentation, but kind of related. Number one was, Mr. Salem, you're absolutely correct. Once we find these dollars, we have to be mindful of these dollars and not use them. So I know you were looking at me as the chair, but I just want to move to the back so you could look at Mr. Joe Carlucci. He's notorious for finding these dollars and using them. So, all right, you're put on notice. Don't use them.
Reserves and pay go.
Yeah, that's all right. Just kidding. All right. Secondly, you're not called right now, sir. Right. Ms. Taylor, can you, we talked about the solid waste fee, the fund, and roughly there's $36 million in there. Can you elaborate to the committee? I know that we kind of touched on that earlier through the budget process, but what I intend to do with those dollars as a possible piece of legislation moving outside of the budget or during the budget process, I guess?
Through the chair, or to the chair, through the chair to the committee. Yes, a piece of legislation, I believe, has been filed. Yes. Related to the related group project where you will utilize, in essence, these dollars before year end. So you will utilize the savings from $36 million from there, and then another couple million from savings to pull together where you don't have to borrow for that project in the budget, rather than trying to find $39 million of cash of cuts within the budget. Rather than doing that, utilizing the savings this year to address that item.
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew, because ultimately when we saw that it was funded through debt, it was a big no-no. So that's why, we decided to go this route. But just wanted to kind of educate everybody on that piece of legislation that is officially filed. So thank you for that. Okay, now we're going to proceed with no other speakers on the queue. So we're going to proceed with public comment cards. I do have 3 minutes on the clock for every individual that speaks. I have 2 of them today. Mr. Blake Harper, please, you're up next, and then Mr. John Nooney. And it'll be 3 minutes on the clock. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Blake Harper, information on the file. Thank you for acknowledging the importance of the First Amendment and the opportunity for citizens to come speak their mind. First of all, I've just received this. I would suggest to Councilman Salem that you take a hard look at the work in progress. I think there's a huge number in there that is of great concern that you need to take a look at. I'll be happy to talk with you on that. Also, Mr. Lanin, I think you have a good understanding of how these things work. I think there's a significant number in there that you all need to look at. How these journal entries show up here and disappear and so forth. So I'm here about 557. As a point of reference, going back historically, Mr. Diamond put up an ordinance with regards to providing information. I don't know if Mr. Diamond had included state audits or state grants in his ordinance, but they should have been if they weren't. That's a significant issue, and basically that's why I'm here, because there's issues with state grants, and you need to have information about that. I want to reemphasize the importance that this resolution needs to carry the force of law. You understand what I'm saying by that? In other words, you need to require this information to be provided from the mayor as a force of law. It's very important. So those are the two items to talk about. Let me just go back for a second and give you some background. Some of you were here yesterday. I'm not a lawyer. I hired lawyers, I fired lawyers, and I trained lawyers in my 20 years as a commercial banker. I did loan review, which is basically auditing and evaluating loan documents and loan portfolios. I dealt with inventory receivables financing. I dealt with automobile financing. I dealt with construction loan draws. I had interfaces with commercial bank auditors. I had to understand very complex financing operations. To sit and take a look at anything that comes through here is a piece of cake for me. That's quite frankly how I can sit and take a look at the ordinances that you put up, because I've got 20 years of dealing with more complex issues. You have a very significant issue to deal with that you need to change this into an ordinance. And you need to pass it in a way that it overrides a veto from the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. John Nooney.
Hello, I am John J. Nooning, Jacksonville City Council Resolution 2023-0819, 8356 Bascom Road, Jacksonville, Florida 32216. I'm City Council District 4, CPAC 3, School Board District 3. And, first I just want to thank all of you for that resolution. And go forward now. That was with waterways. And so 10 months ago, this is our find. This is the Florida Inland Navigation District. And I'm going to be speaking on agenda item 2025-0522. Now, that's a piece of legislation appropriating $1,249,000 from the Building Inspection Fund. It's going to be for the installation of electric chargers for city vehicles. And, it's going to be, with Public Works. It's in rules, TEU and finance, but it's not neighborhoods or waterways. And let me just say, these are 18 chargers. This is going to be a game changer for the city, for the state. And right now, just getting back to find, there's 12 counties. It's the east coast of the state of Florida. And I'm going to the commissioners of find. And last night, I'm just down to a minute 20. I went to the Jacksonville Environmental Protection Board meeting in the Ed Ball building and said to those guys, hey, you're getting 18 electric vehicle chargers right next to you. And when you look at this legislation, it's deferred right now. By who? I mean, you look at all the other, pieces of legislation. Well, I'm just down to 50 seconds. But, this resiliency thing, I'm in this as well, 4 times. And here again, if you're looking at saving some money, do a gut check for that woke joke stuff. There's $25 million. Ann Coglianese, I have yet to have an email response back from her. I'm down to 20 seconds. But here's the beneficiaries. Number 1, JEA, JTA, Council on Elder Affairs, Boys and Girls Clubs, Kids Hope Alliance, Duval County Public Schools, CPAC 2 and 3, Water Management District, FEMA, FDEP. 7 seconds. JTA. I've been going to them. JEA. There are independent authorities.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, and with that, no other public speakers. We are going to commence with the agenda. I'm going to start with number 1, 2024-0627 is being deferred. Number 2, 2024-0966 is being deferred. Number 3, 2025-0011. Can I get a motion and a second for withdrawal? Move to withdraw. We have a motion and a second to move to withdraw. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Withdrawal passes. and we will be taking a ballot vote for this one. Can we get a motion and second? We're good. We already did it once, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
you just take a motion and a second to withdraw, and it goes straight to the ballot. There's no verbal votes.
Thank you. Mr. Lehman. Got that? Don't confuse me next time, all right? All right.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0011 is withdrawn. Number 4, 2025-0361 is deferred. Number 5, 2025-0422 is deferred. Number 6, 2025-0424 is deferred. Number 7, 2025-0425. Can I get a motion? We have a motion and a second to move the bill. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Oh, sorry. Ballot vote. Sorry. There you go. Thank you. All right.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. By your action, 2025-0425 passes. 2025-0457, number 8 is being deferred. Number 9, 2025-0472, it's being deferred. Number 10, we have a neighborhoods amendment. We have a motion and a second for the neighborhoods amendment, 2025-0473. Mr. Peterson, can you please elaborate?
Yes, sir. Through the chair of the committee, the amendment clarifies language regarding compliance with section 121.104 of our code as it relates to who is providing the actuarial report, corrects various scripters, and then attaches the actuarial report showing no impact to the city from this change.
Okay. All in favor of the amendments indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Neighborhood amendment passes. Let's move the bills amended. We have a motion and a second to move the bills amended. And indicate by saying aye. No, or in the the ballot vote. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. Okay.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. By your motion, 2025-0473 passes. And I'd like to recognize Councilmember White is in attendance. Thank you, sir. Are you here for any action items? No? Okay. All right, so we are moving on to number 11, 2025-0501 is deferred. Number 12, 2025-0502 is deferred. Number 13, 2025-0503 is deferred. Number 14, 2025-0504. We do have a public hearing on the DVI budget, so I'm going to open up the public hearing. And I don't have any cards right now, so I'm going to close the public hearing. And now I'm going to defer this one as it is right now. So 2025-0504 is deferred. All right, number 16, 2025-0506 is deferred. Number 17, 2025-0507 is deferred. Number 18, 2025-0508 is deferred. Number 19, 2025-0509 is deferred. Number 20, 2025-0510 is deferred. Number 21, 2025-0511 is deferred. Number 22, 2025-0512 is deferred. Number 23, 2025-0513 is deferred. Number 24, 2025-0514 is deferred. And number 2025-0522 is deferred. We're going to take an action now on number 26, 2025-0528. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson, please.
Yes, sir. Through the chair to the committee, the amendment will correct a whereas clause regarding the 23-24 microgrants, indicating that they were not awarded in accordance with Chapter 118, clarify the grant eligibility of the organizations as it relates to Chapter 118 grants, and then also clarify the required reports that they were supposed to submit.
Okay. I do have Ms. Maribel Hernandez in the room if anybody has any questions, or would you like to speak, ma'am, or just here to answer questions? All right. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendments indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Amendment passes. Move the bill's amended. Bill has been moved and amended. Second, let's go to the ballot for this vote, please.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right. 2025-0528 is passed. So now going on to 27, 2025-0529. Can I get a motion? Move the bill. A motion and a second on the bill. And let's go to the ballot for this one.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Okay. By your actions, 2025-0529 passes. And Mr. Salem, this is the one that we went over, the number 27 was one based off of the Doge Committee findings. Just want to make sure that you're aware of that one. Okay, cool. All right, so number 28, 2025-0532. We have a motion and a second on the bill, and no speakers on the queue. So let's go to the ballot and record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, by your motion, 2025-0532 passes. All right. Number 29, 2025-0533. Yep, we have a motion and a second on the bill. And this one will require a 2/3 vote for full council. We do have some action here. Mr. Peterson, do we have to go over these or no? All right, so let's just go to the ballot then record your vote. Oh, we do have Mr. Howland. Go ahead.
Just for clarity, I want to point out in the notes on the agenda that this does come from the Council Strategic Initiatives funding already approved. I think Mr. Amaro is just changing from one recipient to another by this. So it's not like we're pulling unexpected funds out of the reserves. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, no other speakers in the queue. Let's record our vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, 2025-0533 passes. Going on to number 30. We have a motion and a second on the Rules Amendment, 2025-0534. Mr. Peterson, please.
Yes, sir. Through the chair of the committee, the Rules Amendment clarifies that the funding for the Phase 1 installment grant has already been appropriated in the 24-25 budget. Also includes authorization to carry over that funding because the likelihood of it getting paid out in 24-25 is very low. Corrects various scriveners in the bill, and then places a revised agreement on file to do a number of things. First, to include authorization for administrative extensions up to 1 year. Those are always allowed by the OED director, and that language is accidentally struck from the agreement. Correct the base year value for the REV grant on which that is calculated. Clarify that the Phase 1 installment grant is payable upon the developer meeting the $9.5 million worth of capital investment. It would also require that all property taxes be current in order to receive not only the Phase 1 installment, but also the Phase 1 completion grant. Includes requirement that the developer be eligible to receive the Phase 1 installment grant as a condition to receiving the Phase 1 completion grant, whereby they can't receive the completion grant if they don't qualify for the installment grant. Then also it requires repayment of the installment grant if Phase 1 is not completed, and then corrects various scriveners in the agreement itself.
Okay. All right. I do have a speaker in the queue, Mr. Howland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Looking for the auditors just to clarify something here. It says that the amendment, rather the bill, is extending the Phase 1 completion date by 1 year from June 30th, 25 to June 30th, 26. Does that mean that right now, and I think that's a $2 million payment, that is not reflected in the budget that we're working through in the budget hearings?
Through the chair to Councilmember Howland. So they were originally supposed to meet a June 30, 25 completion, and that $2 million was budgeted in the current year. Long story, you appropriated $1 million from that $2 million to fund another project that OED did not anticipate being completed this year, which did finish up. That was the Springfield Partners development at the corner of First and Main. As part of the budget, you have also approved the second $1 million for Springfield Partners and the second $1 million for the completion of Phase 1 of this project. You took that up, I believe, on day 1 of budget hearings.
Okay, got it. So it's right now, this movement today is accurately reflected in what we're reviewing in budget hearings.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great question on that. All right, no other speakers on the queue. So all in favor of the Rules Amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Rules Amendment passes, and now we have a motion and a second to move the bill as amended. Let's go to the ballot and record our vote.
Six yeas, 1 nay.
Okay, there we are. Okay, moving on now. I know that the team from Phoenix is here, so are there any words you guys want to talk about, or you guys good right now? Yeah, here for questions. All right, thank you so much, guys. All right, thank you, guys. All right, so number 31, 2025-0538. We have an amendment. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson?
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment just attaches a revised project summary. The ROI was stated incorrectly. It is 1.14 for this project, and so we'll get that corrected.
All right. All in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. All right. Amend bill is, we have two speakers in the queue actually just right now. Ms. Clark Murray, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to make sure you're on 538, correct?
We are, yes.
Okay, so this particular business, there are actually three businesses through the chair to the committee. There is Baker Sports, Pro Choice, and Burbank. So they are requesting funding from the Northwest Jacks Economic Development Fund. They are going to be housed in District 9. They are going to occupy the building formerly occupied by Fanatics. And so with that, they are in a space that meets all the requirements in regards to the North Jacks Economic Development Fund. And in touring the building and talking with Mr. Baker, they, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just one company. There are three companies there. Baker, which is regional. You have Pro Choice, which is actually national. And then you have Burbank, which is I'm going to say for the most part right now, local. And the work that they are doing is extraordinary. It's extraordinary in that Mr. Baker is he's being very economical and thoughtful in his process of moving his company into that particular building. And he's using equipment that he had previously as opposed to trying to buy all new equipment. With three businesses housed in that building, he's had to do some extraordinary renovating, in addition to investing in a section that is used for the Burbank portion, Burbank business, which is where they have a section where they're welding the connectors for nets like soccer. So that's what they do as well. And so in talking with him and seeing that he has hired some former Fanatic employees, and he's looking to continue to hire those employees, and with the fact that having the employees there will help to satisfy the goals of the Northwest Jacks Economic Development Fund, I'm actually asking for an amendment to increase the amount here from $100,000 to $175,000. So that's my amendment.
All right, we have a motion and a second for discussion. All right, Mr. Lenin, I say for the amendment.
Chair, it'll work on the amendment as well. My question was through the chair, Mr. Peterson. Can you just remind me, how does money get into this fund, and what's the fund balance of that fund right now?
Through the chair to Councilmember Lenin, funds are appropriated to this fund by council. The last significant investment was part of the BJP where $25 million was put in. It's down to about $1 million that's not allocated to a specific project.
So through the chair to Mr. Peterson, we'd be at $825,000, roughly less than, okay. And then through the chair, I guess one question on the ROI, if we increase it to 175, I assume that would impact the ROI calculation as well. I don't know. And I see Mr. Randolph out there. I guess through the chair to Mr. Randolph, do you have any thoughts on the 175 and how this would change the math that your team did to say this was a positive ROI project to us?
Ed Randolph, OED, through the chair to Councilman Lannon. First off, I mean, this is a great project. We support the additional funding. We actually spoke to Councilwoman Clark Murray about this a couple weeks ago after she visited the facility. It's amazing of the fact that they actually source most of their materials that they manufacture here in Jacksonville from the U.S. So I think that bodes well for them moving forward from a growth perspective. In that, on the from the federal level, making things in America is much more, going to be a higher priority. So with that, the ROI right now is, I believe, at 1 to 1.14. So if we were to add the additional 75,000, it may come below 1. But all in, we are fully supportive of this project. It's an economically distressed area. This particular building and neighborhood lost hundreds of jobs when Fanatics vacated the building. So I mean, I think this, checks all the boxes as it relates to supporting a project out of the Northwest Trust Fund, this project definitely something we support additional.
Thank you. Mr. Randolph, what is it going to take for us to get to that one threshold, exactly at one? Like, what is that number? Is it 165? Because right now I know you're looking at 175 for this, but...
To the chair, I would have to go ahead and crunch the numbers. I do not have that in front of me.
Mr. Peterson, go ahead.
Through the chair, so it'd be 113,854 would be a 1-to-1.
Okay, I know that we'd like to stay within that one range, first of all, to get started. So, I mean, if we're going to make this exception, which I'm open to it, I just don't want to get into the habit of constantly, approving these projects if they're within lower than the ROI that we're looking for. So, is there any kind of language that we have, I guess, in place to say, and I know there isn't, but to protect us in the future from approving these projects that are below the one ROI? Is there anything that we can not only talk to our body, but also that we have in the legislation that will not allow us to do that? Or
to the chair, so there is language in the public investment policies that relates to specific programs that you must meet. There must be a 1.0, it must be a 1-to-1 ROI. So it's basically would be a waiver of that, but that truly is a safeguard in there. So traditionally, as we move forward with projects, we're always looking at meeting that requirement, except in circumstances such as this. We understand in that this really is a project that will have a major positive impact on that community.
Okay, and before I go to Mr. Peterson, is there, actually I'm going to go to Mr. Peterson or Mr. Fopoulos on this part, but being that these are going to be towards project, I guess, entities like Baker Sports and all that, will these fall under CBA dollars? Can Ms. Clark Murray go tap into her $1 million district dollars for this part to offset that difference, or no?
Through the chair to Councilor Arias, so her dollars aren't available yet. So if that is something that could be done, it would be requiring to come back and amend this agreement to incorporate those dollars. I have never thought about CBA dollars being used as an incentive, so that's you kind of caught me off guard there. But I think it's something we could work through. As it relates to the ROI, the public investment policy says that the goal is to have an ROI of 1-to-1. If we don't get to 1-to-1, OED or DIA is supposed to tell you how many years it would take to get to a 1-to-1. And unfortunately, I don't have that number crunching ability at my fingertips right now.
Okay. You were on the queue. Is that where you were going to get to? Okay, cool. All right, so now I'm going to go back to committee members. I'll go to Mr. Howland. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know this business as well. It's a manufacturing and distribution business in the sports industry, and I've run manufacturing and distributions in the marine industry. So they're not only making products here, they're also distributing it. And that's the kind of business which hires folks at 50 to 60K, 50 to 60K per year. It's great business to have in our backyard. And one of the reasons I'm initially very supportive of Councilwoman Clark Murray's increase is because this business actually used to be located over in Councilman Lanon's district. It was in Beach Boulevard right near UNF. It couldn't find enough people to hire to support its growing distribution business. So in relocating over to the Northwest side, it's been able to hire more, and I think it's done very well meeting its hiring goals. It's also unique to know that it's a very acquisitive business, so the owner wants to continue buying. He has the space and the opportunity and potentially the access to labor to keep buying businesses that might be out of Jacksonville and migrating them into his site. Very similar to the story of Armor Holdings, back in the day, and other roll-up businesses we've had, like Fanatics and others. So in that reason, I'm inclined to support the bill. I'm mindful of our goal for council in setting a precedent of doing an incentive below, a 1 ROI. But in talking to the owner when I took a tour, they could be up at 225 employees by the end of 2026. So while I think this is only gonna grow, and this helps them continue to do that. So I'm supportive. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Can we, for the record, at least for this year's, while I'm on finance as a chair, I like to keep a tab on how many times we appropriate dollars that are below the 1 ROI threshold, so we can at least be mindful of what we're approving. I'm willing to support this one as well, but if we get into a habit of approving these constantly, then we've got to be mindful of that as well, too. All right, so moving on now to Mr. Fabris, you had something to say?
Yes, I just thought through the chair to the committee, I would clarify kind of if the amendment is approved, what it would entail for us to do. So it would, since it kind of counteracts the technical amendment, it would supplant that if this amendment gets approved. We would be amending the bill to reflect the $175,000 appropriation. We would have a revised BT, the Exhibit 1, to reflect that change in the appropriation. We would also have a revised economic development agreement that would be attached to the amendment to reflect the change in the appropriation amount. And we would also have a revised project summary to change the ROI to the new ROI that would be effective pending the approval of the amendment.
Okay. All right. Ms. Pittman, recognize. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Randolph, if you could please come back up. First of all, I want to say, Councilwoman, I am really glad that you were able to increase the funding for this. And I know we don't do this type of initiative that often, but I would say that building was able to be reused. And I share with Mr. Randolph all the time, their buildings and spaces in 7, 8, 9, and 10, and this is a good one, to be able to hire people in the area and really take a chance. Because there are people who want to work right now. And I will say, Mr. Randolph and his team, if they bring something to you, and now you have a councilwoman who is really advocating, because I'm sure she has more than this building, but there are a lot of manufacturing and warehouses that we as a council, and I don't even think this has been done too many times, has it, Mr. Randolph, in terms of adding additional funding to this legislation. This doesn't happen that often, right?
Through the chair to Councilwoman Pittman, no, this is a rare case.
Right. So my point I'm sharing is economic impact, especially in areas that have been that have disparities, and really trying to bring economic infusion to the communities. I want to just first of all thank you all, because if she had not been here to advocate for additional $75,000, I don't know how many more jobs that would bring to the community. But this is the kind of economic development that we need in those areas, and that we can take buildings and reutilize them for something bigger and better. But we have to have people like Mr. Randolph and his team to go look, but not handcuff our hands to ensure that we're able to expand. And I hope you'll be able to bring something else back again, but ahead of time, so we can get more than the dollars that it needs. So I appreciate us even having the discussion. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, you're welcome. Okay, before I go to Mr. Diamond, Mr. Peterson, anything we need to know?
Through the chair, 15 years to reach a 1-to-1.
15 years, okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Diamond, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to be quiet and vote no like normal. I voted against the last one. I'm going to vote against the amendment. I'm going to vote against the bill. And I'd just like to put on the record why. There are probably 1,000 small businesses in Jacksonville who would love $150,000 to help them with their business. But because one is politically connected and the last one that we just, we voted on was politically connected, they get free money from the taxpayers. I don't think that's right. And so I'll continue to vote no on these. But at the very least, can we have a standard that we stick to? To break the standard of 1-to-1 at all, not for this one, but for any of these, at the very least, look the taxpayers in the eye and say we got some sort of ROI that we can justify. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Joe Carlucci.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess through the chair to either Ms. Clark-Murray or Mr. Randolph, what are the renovations exactly?
Through the chair to Councilmember Carlucci, when they moved into the building, the previous owner had intentionally taken the the wiring and the copper connectors that are needed for internet out of the building. So basically, they had destroyed and damaged the building when they left. Obviously, maybe there was some bad blood between the previous business and the building owners. In addition to that, they've had to modify several of the spaces for, they have actual people who, and this is the first time I've ever seen this in person, they have women who are actually sewing garments, so they had to modify the space. They have to have an area where, for welding, it's separate from all the other spaces because of obviously, the inherent dangers of welding. They've had to modify the back section of the building to house pro-choice, where they put together the football pad equipment, and there are different processes that they go through. And there's an area where they had to modify for these very large digital printing machines that are like huge.
So
and those cost about $80.
Is it all interior? I'm sorry. Is it all interior?
It is interior, yes.
Okay. Because where I was going with that is it's an economically distressed area, so JSEB has a program for the facade grant, whatever, and that could be additional dollars for them. But if it's all interior work,
yes.
Then maybe that's something we could look at with the JSEB program, because ultimately the JSEB program is there to benefit our small businesses here. So if that interior work is part of that in an economically distressed area that's going to attract jobs and grow that area, then perhaps it's something again that we revisit on the JSEB side of things as well, to just bolster that as much. So for now, I'm fine with it. I just wanted to ask just in case if there was exterior work. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome, sir. Before I go to Mr. Leanan, I do have Mr. White. Do you want to say something, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just through the chair, I'll take a second. I agree 100% with Ms. Clark-Murray. And those who have not met Mr. Baker, you should. I think Mr. Howland's met him, and you can just tell this is a local guy, that he's doing great things, and he actually is supplying most professional teams and college teams with all their pads, all their helmets. It's a pretty neat operation, and hopefully y'all can support that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. Mr. Leanan, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair to Ms. Stefopoulos, will this require also, and I apologize if I missed it the first time, this will require a waiver, I believe, now in the actual, it will not require a waiver?
Through the chair to Councilmember Lanning, you saw Mr. Peterson shaking his head. I believe in the policy it sets it as a goal, but not a requirement. Thus, it doesn't have to be waived.
Through the Chair, Ms. Stefopoulos. Okay, because I know there are some that actually do require the waiver. Look, I'll support it with concern. I mean, it's only $62,000 difference, right? $113,000 versus $175,000. But it only took $13,000 to drop it from 1.14 to 1.0. So we're probably quite a bit below 1.0. And so really the fact that it is from this Northwest Office of Economic Development Fund makes me more likely to support it. But I do think for the district councilwoman, you're going to have some businesses coming back to you that hear about this, and now we're just going to be seeing a lot of other groups that want money out of this fund for sub 1.0 ROI projects, and there's only going to be $825,000 after it, and then that's a whole new conversation when we have to replenish this fund. I think that'll be a much bigger battle to fight when we talk about replenishing this fund, because as Councilmember Diamond said, this can really only impact one little small part of town. So again, I'll vote yes, but with the concern on the precedent we're setting, does make me feel a little better knowing we're not actually requiring a waiver, though, of the public investment policy. That probably would have made me a no if it did require an outright waiver.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leanan. Ms. Clark-Murray, before I recognize you, I'm just going to say my thoughts, and then you can finish it off, all right? So, yeah, I definitely agree with Mr. Diamond, which was my concern about the sub-1 ROI. Once again, I think this is a much-needed investment in that community. 100%, I would love to support it. Just in the future, let's just be mindful of these sub-1 ROIs, because like I said, like Mr. Diamond said, we have to set the correct precedents on this, and we can't just continue to waive. Otherwise, in this fund, like Mr. Leanan just said, there's $825,000 remaining roughly. You're looking at potentially 4 more projects at the same amount. So if it gets to a point where any council members here have any wanted to have any investments in their community with businesses or nonprofits, this is why we have those district dollars, the CBA dollars. So I just ask you guys to look into those. And if you haven't already done this yet, Right now, they're currently in CIP. Ms. Clark-Mary, if you haven't responded to the auditors, I'm asking everybody to respond before Thursday because we need to move those dollars to operational dollars. That way, you guys could actually use these dollars to invest in your neighborhoods. So that's all I ask moving forward for this year. But I will bring up Mr. Howland because I want you to finish it up. So let's have Mr. Howland come up for next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just wanted to reiterate again why I'm supporting it, and because I'm always reticent to pull anything out of the reserves, to support something like this. But this is already in the Northwest Development Fund and OED Fund, and because I also think they're have real growth potential. When I was talking to Mr. Baker about opportunity, you can see this creates. The incentive comes with retaining 165 jobs and creating 30 new jobs. And when I was talking to him about his growth, he was saying he could potentially, in reality, targeting 225 total jobs by the end of 2026. So that actually is another 25 jobs on top of this, which could eventually back us into a positive ROI. And on top of the fact that he's acquisitive, they're manufacturing distribution jobs. It's always been one of my key priorities, after public safety, infrastructure, vital city services, is to create jobs. And my expertise is manufacturing distribution jobs. So it's along the lines of everything that I support, and I'll support Clark-Murray's amendment. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Clark-Murray, bring it home.
Right. First of all, thank you. I do understand what you are saying in regards to the ROI and the concerns about there may be others who come and ask, but just bear in mind that Mr. Baker didn't ask for an increase. I saw what he was doing and what he's already invested, and I want him to stay in that particular building, especially because it is centrally located in District 9, and you have bus routes, and so it's going to be easier for those who go to his building and apply for a job to be able to get there. So and not only will the fact that he'll employ those who formerly were employed by Fanatics, it will help to support the surrounding businesses when they go to lunch, when they have to buy gas. So it has a filtering effect into other aspects of the neighborhood. And thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. Okay, Ms. Stefopoulos, please put us in the correct posture for this.
Absolutely. So you have on the floor the amendment that was requested by Councilmember Clark-Murray and moved and seconded by members of the committee. I had previously gone through the summary of the amendment and just want to confirm for the record that if this amendment is approved, this has the effect of supplanting the earlier amendment, the technical amendment from the Council Auditor's Office, because the ROI has changed. So if approved, we would not be filing an amendment that contains that initial technical item that you all took up. So you are ready to vote on the amendment that was offered.
Okay, all right. Well, if that's the case, all in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Amendment passes. And now we could go to a ballot vote.
Move the bill as amended.
We had a motion and a second on the bill as amended, and now we can go to a ballot vote.
6 yeas, 1 nay.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0538 passes. Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to number 32, 2025-0539 is deferred. 2025-0557. We have a motion. So we actually, yes. So 2025-0557 is actually being deferred. And so, yep, so that one's deferred. Okay. You want to know why? Or Ms. Stefopoulos or Mr. Peterson, go ahead.
Through the chair to Councilmember Lanin or to the committee, I believe this is being deferred at the request of Councilmember Amaro because he wants to be present when the bill is taken up in committees.
Through chair, thank you, Ms. Stefopoulos, and apologize there. I was trying to get in queue fast.
No worries.
I just want to know what the reason was. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go to page 19 and go to the emergency action. So number 39, 2025-0606. We have an emergency.
Move the emergency.
We have motion and second on the emergency. Mr. Peterson, please.
Through the chair of the committee, the nature of the emergency is that the council representing the city in this opioid litigation must submit a vote on behalf of the city, whether or not to accept this plan or not by September 5th. So this is the last committee cycle prior to that date.
Okay. Mr. Ron Salem, you're on the queue.
Thank you, Chair. I'll speak on the emergency and the bill. There is a time factor. This is the gift that keeps on coming. We're getting more settlement money through the National Opioid Program coming to the state of Florida, and Duval County gets their share. And so this will be, we've got OGC out here if you have any questions, and Madeline Zaru is also out here who runs the program. The dollars will be added in, and I think we're now sharing in grants approximately 70% of what we receive in grants in the community for treatment, prevention, and interdiction for opioid patients. So it's all good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I would like to recognize Ms. Pittman.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just wanted to advise I need to abstain from voting on this bill because the Clear White Mission provides services to individuals that need services through opioids. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you, Ms. Mayor.
So we currently have a motion and a second on the emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. Now we're going to take up the bill has been motion and seconded, and we are going to go to a ballot vote now for this.
Six yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
All right. By your motion, 2025-0606 passes as an emergency. Moving on to number 40, 2025-0607. We have a motion and second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson, please.
Yes, sir. Through the chair of the committee, the amendment clarifies that the company does not currently operate in the city. It also attaches a revised agreement to include a specific default required by the public investment policy that failure to create 10 new jobs by the job creation deadline, in this case of December 31st of 29, will result in termination of the REV grant, and they'd have to pay back the city funds previously received. Also correct Scribner's in the agreement.
Okay. I do have a speaker on the queue, and I was going to speak, so go ahead, Mr. Allen.
Actually, I'll speak on the bill rather than the amendment.
All right. So on the amendment, I would like to ask a question to Mr. Randolph. If you don't mind, please coming up, sir. Can you elaborate a little bit more on this? The entity is not here in Jacksonville, so what's going on here?
Sure. So this is Project Pan. This is a company that we're heavily competing with this project with Savannah on. They're a heavy port user. They're going to create a minimum of 100 jobs with an average wage of $58,000. They're going to be importing their products, meat products from various countries, including Australia. They're looking to invest about $30 million in a facility that's set. It's a 50-year-old building roughly, and it's sat vacant for a number of years. It's an economically distressed area. So this is definitely a project we're supporting in that in this economically distressed area, having those new jobs would be phenomenal, especially considering this particular building used to have a functioning operation of which is no longer there. And all in, we're looking at an ROI of 3.5 to 1.
Okay, like it. All right, Mr. Diamond, you're recognized.
Thank you through the chair, Mr. Randolph. I actually have more practical questions. So is this a rendering plan, or is this going to be a slaughterhouse? Like, what is the story?
Through the chair to Councilman Diamond, it's primarily a packaging. They are going to process, so there's going to be larger portions of meat products coming in.
I'll ask an easier question through the chair. Are there going to be live animals at first?
Through the chair to Councilman Diamond, not that I'm aware of. I can confirm that, but at this point, I don't believe there's going to be any live animals involved at all.
And then through the chair again, one last thing. Sometimes rendering plants can be kind of nasty for a neighborhood, and I don't know where this is plopping down, but I hope that there's at least a yellow flag if there's going to be kind of an unpleasant place. I mean, we've done some stuff on this council that neighbors are very upset about. I'd rather us not have 50 more people up here who are not only mad about a morgue, are now mad about a rendering plant, if that's what it is.
No.
It's like
through the
somebody's
chair
got
to
an
Councilman
answer.
Diamond, no, I don't think there's going to be any activities that meet that. It's going to be more of a packaging, processing and packaging. No rendering involved as far as I know.
Oh,
and just so my colleagues know what rendering is, if you don't know, it's like, the animals go from like a carcass to meat that you can eat, or dog food, or any number of other processing that happens. And sometimes they're just kind of gross. That's why they're usually like out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Howland, is this on the amendment or on the bill?
I might as well, since Mr. Randolph's up there.
On the amendment?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really on the whole thing, but Do you want to vote on the amendment and then come
Yeah,
down?
let's do the amendment first. So, all right, so let's take a motion. All in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Amendment passes. All right. We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Mr. Howland, you're recognized.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. For Mr. Randolph, I noticed that the average salary here is $58,000. Did that exceed the state average, or is it below the state average?
Through the chair to Councilman Howland, good point, good question. Actually, we waived the state average wage, of which right now is upwards of 68,000 because it's an economically distressed area.
Fantastic, and it probably also meets the private capital investment, $28 million, so it met both hurdles. So I'm glad we're able to compete with Savannah. If we didn't have that ability to make the waiver of the state wage minimum, we wouldn't be able to compete on this one. So I'm supportive, and good luck. Let's win it. Thank you.
Okay, so we are ready to take this as a ballot vote.
Six yeas, one nay.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0607 passes. All right, let's see what else we have. So it looks like we have the rest are second reading, so I'm going to go back now to just read them out loud. Going back to page 17, 2025-05, so these are all second readings. 2025-0597, 2025-0598, 2025-0599, 2025-0601, 2025-0602, 2025-0608, 2025-0609, 2025-0610, 2025-0611, 2025-0612, 2025-0613, and 2025-0614 are all second readings. And no other speakers on the queue. So with that, that is pretty much a wrap for today's finance meeting. Thank you so much. All right.